Yeah, thanks for having me. My name's Feroze Sidhwa. I'm a trauma and general surgeon in California, and I was at Nasser Medical Complex from March 6th to April 1st of this year. It was my second time in Gaza. Last year I was at European Hospital from March 25th to April 8th, I think it was. Um, the I just wanted to tell one story about what happened while I was at Nasser this time. On March 18th, I'm sure you all know the bombing of Gaza resumed, the widespread bombing of Gaza resumed. And that day we had an enormous mass casualty event at Nasser Medical Complex. And one of the last cases I did was for a 16-year-old boy named Ibrahim Barhoum, who was uh, not bleeding, but had, all right, he was bleeding a little bit, but not bleeding to death. But he had injuries to his distal rectum and his sigmoid colon from shrapnel. So he was one of the last patients we took to the OR that day. Repaired the injuries, but they were quite destructive, so we gave him a colostomy as well. And he recovered quite well. He didn't get an infection despite his delay to the operating room. He was a cantankerous and kind of funny kid, kind of defiant in every way, but a good kid. He had apparently memorized the Quran by the time he was 15. He was actually he was a twin, having been born from in vitro fertilization attempts. Uh, which I learned when I realized when I was introduced to his father. I thought, wow, this must be his grandfather. There's no way this is his dad. He's far too old to be the dad of a 16-year-old boy. Um, but he was, because it had been 10, 15 years of attempting IVF. His twin brother, whose name I don't know actually, had been killed at the beginning of the war. And now Ibrahim had been wounded, and so of course his father was really hovering over him, wanting to know if his remaining son would be okay. And he was going to do fine. So on March 23rd, I was in the fourth floor living quarters of Nasser. We had finished iftar. It was maybe 8:30 or 9 at night, and I was walking down to change Ibrahim's dressings because the men's surgical unit was on the second floor. So I was walking down to change his dressings. I walked past the ICU, and a doctor there said, "Oh, Feroz, can you come in here? There's a guy who's bleeding badly. We just accepted him from a field hospital transfer." Says, "Okay." So went in there, looked at this other kid, also a 16 or 17-year-old boy named Mohammed, and sure enough, he was bleeding quite badly. So I asked the ICU to set up just tell the operating room that this kid needs to go to the OR. I would go down and change Ibrahim's bandages and come back up. And by the time I came back up, hopefully he'd be in the operating room. And so I walked out. I was going to walk out of the ICU, and literally as I put my hand on the door, Ibrahim's room exploded on the second floor. The Israelis had bombed the hospital directly, quite proudly. There was no attempt to hide it. Um, and probably using a drone fired missile, but who knows? The target of the strike was a man named Ismail Barhoum. He and Ibrahim were distantly related cousins, apparently, and that's why they'd been put into the same room. Ismail had apparently been wounded in a bombing attack on the 18th or the 19th. Had tried to tough it out at home. But then couldn't, so he had come to the hospital a few hours before he was killed in his hospital room. And it just and then because Ibrahim was in from the same family and they had been moved into the same room, he was also killed in that blast. The hospital was put on lockdown for about an hour because they didn't know if the Israelis were going to raid the hospital or bomb it again, like they did with Al Hospital, hitting it twice. Um, it wasn't exactly sure. So the after about an hour, the lockdown was lifted. So I went down to the emergency room to see if there were any cases that needed to go because I still needed to take this kid Muhammad in the ICU to the operating room. And as I went down there, or when I went down there, they said no, only this one person was killed. And this, I said, how could that possibly be that they blew up a hospital room and only one person was killed? And as I was thinking that, Ibrahim's body was rushed down in a blanket by three or four young guys who we put him in the trauma bay. And as soon as we took the blanket off of him, I recognized his abdomen actually before I recognized his face. He had been eviscerated. His colostomy was torn. He was dead. He'd been dead probably for about an hour at that point. And it's just it's one of these things that's kind of a double or even a triple crime. Firstly, even if it's very doubtful that somebody who is thought to be the new prime minister of Gaza is a legitimate military target, just like Benjamin Netanyahu is not a legitimate military target. But even if he was, if he once he's wounded and in a hospital, he's now a protected person under international law. That's not nobody claims otherwise. Um, so the killing of of Ismail Barhoum, the older man, the target of the attack, is illegal in the hospital. The killing of my patient in the hospital and nearly killing me, if it had just happened 5 minutes later, I'd certainly be dead as well. And then the bombing and disruption of the hospital at all is also a crime. So this is a steady regression just into barbarism. I mean, we're going back to parts of international law that have been established since before the American Civil War ended. Um, and I hope we can do something about that. Thanks.